recap show and rankings reveal. I'm Ben Spicer here, joined by Marc Henry and CJ Gilbert. We're live coming your way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, more specifically Broken Arrow. It's been a beautiful day. Usually when we come here to Tulsa, we're layered up, we're bundled up, and we're freezing, but it's been beautiful this weekend so far, and we've seen a lot of talent, a lot of action, Marc. It's been fun this past, I would say, 6 hours or so out there seeing all the talent from across the Midwest. 9 different states here on hand at Oklahoma. How you feel?
Well, I feel great that I left the rain jacket in my suitcase. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have to need an umbrella or anything like that. Man, the people in Broken Arrow and Tulsa have been great to us. This is our third time coming, and the talent is here. This is what we do. We're here to expose the unexposed and give these guys the exposure. And, CJ, I know you were right along with that.
Yeah, man. Like you said, had to leave the rain jacket at the house, man. It actually was like pretty hot at about 10 o'clock. So we got a chance to see some, some 12, 15U guys, 14U guys. I know, first of all, 14U, I feel like it's some of the deepest in Tulsa right now this year. So like I said, our Flex had some guys on that team that was really, really good. I know Peyton Lang, he played for Sooner 7, could sling it, zip it anywhere that he can really throw it. I know that, Marc, you got a chance to watch him, see him. We posted him on the platform and things like that too. So he's one of the top performers, I would say, in 14U right now. And I really did like him as far as how he was able to spin it.
We're going to talk more specifically about the platform coming up here on the show. Marc will give us a deep dive into that. CJ's been doing a great job helping out with the platform as well. The scouts are continuing to roll in. We got my man Pat back here. He's doing a little extra film work for us. Hopefully he's getting our good side, guys, over there in the corner. But the growth of DR7, we talked about the preview show. Now we're here in year 3. This is tournament number 8 on the season here in Tulsa, and we talked about it a little bit to start the show. 9 different states represented. It's always deep when we come out here to Tulsa. States as far as New Mexico, as far north as Minnesota. We've got Missouri, Arkansas. I'm trying not to leave anyone out here. Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, and of course Oklahoma. So just plenty of states. We've gotten to see talent from all over. What are some teams, maybe some programs that have stood out to you guys? We'll start with you, CJ.
Yeah, I would just start with the home base. I just feel like Iowa has some teams out there that are really, really good. Like I have already mentioned, Iowa Flex is a really good program that I feel like in all classifications, from the younger group from 12 all the way up to 18U. So I feel like that's a really good group. I didn't get a chance to really watch Arkansas Elite, but I know in years past they've had guys on that program, on that coaching staff and things like that to get that program turned around as a elite program in Arkansas. Sooner 7 has always represented Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So that's a program in itself that they really do good. And I feel like a underrated program that I got a chance to see before we had left is Total Domination. I'm not sure. I have to go back and check and see where they're actually from, if they're local or if they're outside the borders of Oklahoma. But that's another program that I feel like is really, really good.
I think one thing we've seen since we've been, we mentioned we've been at this for 3 years now. We've seen the growth. And Total Domination was one of those teams. I think they're Austin, Texas area. But we saw them last year at San Antonio to open the season. They had a big win over the Dolphins. They're moving up to the 18U ranks. Iowa Flex, our crown champion last year in 15U, they moved up to 18U, and they've also grown as a program, which is another cool thing to see following 7-on-7 is these programs that are rising and most importantly helping kids out, helping them get to that next level and helping them stand out on Friday night. You had some standouts that you wanted to mention, not just programs but players as well.
Well, let's start in the 10U ranks. The unit was probably the best team overall. They went undefeated. Zion Irby Glover, listen, big catch radius, a guy that played on both sides of the ball, and he got it done. Probably the best player all day long in the 10U ranks, and his teammate was phenomenal as well on the 10U level. I think that the quarterback play is what you look at. Can they complete easy passes? Can they make the big throws? And the unit was by far the best team in that particular division. But I want to move up to the 15U ranks. Wyatt Valenta, probably the best hands that you'll see in the 15U ranks. Shout out to him, a big tight end from Iowa Flex. He jumped over on the defensive side, but I think his home is where he's going to make his money is on the offensive side. Soft hands, work the middle very well, middle of the field. Big catch radius and a guy that can go up and get it. I thought that he was the best player that I saw all day long. In the 18U ranks, you got to go with Deshaun Brame. Big physical specimen in the 18U ranks for Sooner 7. This is a guy that's got over 34 offers from the Kansas area. This is the reason that Sooner Seven is one of the best programs in the nation because they attract that kind of talent. Also, a couple of more notable guys, Phoenix Murphy, Cruz Campbell, Chase Lofton, in the 15U ranks, Arias Finley, and Braylon Warren from Warren Academy. You mentioned you mentioned programs that are on the come up. Warren Academy is from the Nebraska area, and this is a academy that takes these guys on the road to get that exposure. But Braylon was on point in the 15U ranks. You can make all the throws that you want to see and on time. And he's not afraid to throw the big ball in there as well. So those were some of the guys that really stood out to me early on in Tulsa. And, you know, I look forward to seeing these guys on Crown Sunday as well.
You mentioned Chase Lofton and Warren Academy in general. I got the chance to follow them for their 3 pool play games, the Supreme team, that is. They brought 2 teams. They brought numerous teams here in multiple age divisions. We've seen them several times. They came 8 deep probably to our Dallas tournament too. So shout out to Warren Academy and the things that they're building up there in Nebraska. Their Supreme 18U team, a 66-point difference. Quarterback Jet Thamala is going to be a big name in Nebraska before it's all said and done. And when you got guys like Chase Lofton that you can throw to, he was shining. He was looking good. And they're actually going to be teaming up at the same high school together in Nebraska, so that's going to be scary.
Absolutely.
Something to look out for. You mentioned the 10U ranks. I wanted to touch on Iowa Flex and the 12U ranks. I saw all 3 of their pool play games again. They looked legit. Sooner 7 looked legit. It could stack up to where we see both of them in the championship if they're able to make it there, and that would be a classic, I think. That's going to be a lot of fun. Got the chance to talk to Aubryon Morlett of Iowa Flex. He was legit all over the field. He played quarterback. He played a little safety, had a pick 6, had a couple head tops, and the crazy part, guys, he's actually a running back.
Absolutely.
I got the chance to talk to him, so look out for that interview to come on the platform and the DR Sports page. And before we round things out, looking at some standout Tulsa teams, I like the A-State Steelers 14U. That was the first time we've ever seen them on the DR7 circuit. Out of Arkansas, they got the chance to go up against Arkansas Elite, shut them out 32-0.
Wow.
I mean, they were dominant, plus 74-point difference, which is the most in any age division today. So the A-State Steelers 14U, we always do our picks. I think that's going to be my 14U pick to take home the crown here in Tulsa. Just to kind of build on, you were talking about 10U, I was talking about 12U. That's the difference. That's what makes DR7 and DR Sports stand out. We spotlight the youth athletes, and we have one of the most competitive and toughest youth divisions and youth circuits in the entire nation. We're getting a chance to see some of the best youth athletes and youth programs in all of the country coming to our tournaments and competing, and we're going to rank who we have so far. It's been tough. There's been a lot of discussion, and I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of thoughts and comments and debate on the video, but we did our best. We tried to come out with the rankings, but we can't just give them to you now. We got to build
make
up
you
a
wait.
suspense,
You know what I'm saying? Got to make you wait a little bit.
We'll be back here on the preview, on the recap show and the rankings reveal show when we return here from Tulsa in just a moment.
The road to the crown don't stop. It always continue from Georgia to Tulsa, from Tulsa to Louisville, Louisville to Tampa, Tampa to the crown. We're having a great time. You see the kids are fired up here in Tulsa. We're always here on this weekend. Come and join us. Next year we'll be right back here at at this great complex, having a great time competing. Looking for the top teams. If you think you're one of the best teams in the nation, come to the Crown April 13, 14. The only way to settle that is on the turf. So where you at? Show up on the turf. We can do a lot of talking on social media, but the Crown is where we crown the best in the nation. So let's settle it on the turf. We're looking for you.
Welcome back in to the DR7 Midseason Recap and Rankings Real Show. I'm Ben Spicer, joined by Marc Henry and CJ Gilbert. We are here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, our 8th tournament of the season on the DR7 circuit. We've been all over the place this season, guys. We've been to Texas, we've been to Florida, Louisiana, Georgia, and Oklahoma. We've still got 3 more tournaments to come, by the way. Of course, the Crown National Championship is still on the horizon. Well, we've got a new stop coming up next week, guys. We're going to Louisville, Kentucky next weekend, my old stomping grounds. I'm excited about that. Unfortunately, I don't get to go, but I know you guys are going to be on hand and on deck, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a cool venue. I can't wait for you guys to see what's to come in Louisville. And we've got some teams coming from Louisiana, got some teams coming from Georgia, I believe. So it's going to be exciting. A lot of competition there in Louisville.
I was going to say this is the first tournament that we're having at Kentucky, and like I said, I'm thrilled. I'm excited to go actually see what they're telling us about. I feel like we get a lot of good meshing and a lot of good pool play games when we go to different areas like Oklahoma or even Kentucky and such places like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we have in store for that tournament. And then, like you said, once we go down to Tampa, we always have good tournament times in the key parts of Florida and things like that.
Well, definitely Louisville is the home of the Colonel, if I'm not mistaken, so you can definitely get some Kentucky Fried Chicken, original recipe. But, it's always about the competition on the field. You mentioned teams coming from other regions. I think that's a market that we haven't been in. And, of course, Tampa, that's where it all started. That's where the Crown began, and, that's kind of a second home for us going down to Florida. And then you can't beat it when you come back to the Crown in Texas. That's where, football is played the best in the country. So definitely Texas is where we're going to go. Hey, I got to throw it in there a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? Bama boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting up there.
Hey, that's what the Roundtable is for. That's the discussion all over the country is where's the best football play. So show up and pull up.
So let's look at the dates for those, just in case you missed it and you missed the schedule on the screen. Still plenty of time to sign up, by the way. Head over to the DR Sports website. Make sure you get registered. Still time to sign up for the Louisville tournament. We'll take a week off after that. Then we'll be back in Tampa, Florida for our final tournament before the national championship. That's the Crown National Championship, April 13th and 14th in Dallas, Texas. We've got teams already confirmed coming from out of town to compete. I know Orlando Elite's ready. They've got several teams that are going to show up and appear in our rankings here coming up. Just another little teaser for you there. But teams coming from all over. So definitely get signed up for the Crown if you're not able to make it out to Louisville or to Tampa, Florida. We're going to take one more break, and when we return, we promise this time that we'll have the rankings for you. So get ready to get fired up. Get your fingers ready there for the keyboards as you get ready to let us know that we suck at a ranking coming up with our list of teams here. And that's when we return here.
To be continued.
In just a moment.
We'll see.
The road to the Crown don't stop. It always continue from Georgia to Tulsa, from Tulsa to Louisville, Louisville to Tampa, Tampa to the Crown. We're having a great time. You see the kids are fired up here in Tulsa. We're always here on this weekend. Come and join us. Next year we'll be right back here at this great complex, having a great time competing. Looking for the top teams. If you think you're one of the best teams in the nation, come to the Crown April 13, 14. The only way to settle that is on the turf. So where you at? Show up on the turf. We can do a lot of talking on social media, but the Crown is where we crown the best in the nation. So let's settle it on the turf. We're looking for you.
Welcome back into the DR7 Midseason Recap Show and the Rankings Reveal. It's that time. We've kept you all waiting long enough. You're not tuned in to listen to us talk. You want to know where your team, where your program is ranked. And we're going to start down in the 8U division. Ben Spicer, Marc Henry, CJ Gilbert. We all collaborated as a media team, as a platform team, and we came up with these rankings. So it's not just us three that came up with it. There were a lot of people involved. So don't just yell at us specifically when we come out with these. But make a case for your team if you think your program deserves to be higher than what they are. And we're just going to be revealing the top 3. So usually at the end of the season we do a top 10. That'll be coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But just top 3 for now, just to build the suspense a little bit and get you ready for the Crown here coming up in a couple weeks. 8U, though, as we look now, our number 1 team, high-profile athletes, HPA. They ended up, no, it's actually All the Smoke. Oh, my bad. All the Smoke. They took home the Davenport Championship to start the season. HPA won it in Houston, and Orlando Elite and TTG tied for 3rd. All the Smoke, they were impressive, and they beat Orlando Elite, who's ranked 3rd, to come in at number 1 in the AU rankings.
Well, I mean, I look at this list, and we saw HPA right out of the gate in Houston. That was a pretty difficult bracket. Cash Lease was in that bracket as well. But Orlando Elite, shout out to those guys that came down in Florida and really, really turned it up. Even at the Villages, they won that. So they're repeat champions. So, these rankings are to be debated. But, like we'll get to later at CJ, if you don't agree with these, come to the Crown and settle it.
You can always come to the Crown, settle it out. 8U, we go all the way up to 18U. All the Smoke, though, they really did handle their business in Davenport, and I really feel like in 8U, they did all the things as far as, making the easy passes, making sure they're making the easy completions, and also getting the yards after catch as well for an 8U team. HPA, first tournament out the gate, very impressive, and Orlando Elite is always led by a great coaching staff and things like that. So I feel like this 8U ranking is very it can be debatable, but at the same time, I do feel like All the Smoke is one of those teams where they come to the Crown, they're going to ball out.
Guys, just to defend myself, I inserted my opinion there. I think HPA is the number 1 team in the 8U rankings. They were impressive.
Absolutely.
I hope to see them at the Crown. I hope we see all those teams that we mentioned at the Crown.
Absolutely.
I know Orlando Elite's already going to come. We haven't seen HPA as a program since that first tournament. They've got a bunch of teams in every age group, but that 8U was impressive. And I know when I put together their highlight video from the championship game on YouTube, I had the thumbnail, Best 8U in the Nation. I believe that they are. They impressed me, and from what I've seen throughout the season, I think they're the number 1. I don't know if you guys would agree with that or not.
Well, we know where
they
you're
were all over the place.
I'm about to say, we know where your loyalty lies then with it.
I'm just saying, guys. So All the Smoke, come get All the Smoke at the Crown. That's going to be a lot of fun. Let's move on to the 10U rankings now. And this was kind of a toss-up. This was kind of up in the air until last weekend in Atlanta. And that was when 210 Primal came from San Antonio and dominated everyone. We had already seen them win a championship in Houston to start the season, but they left everyone amazed with their performance in ATL. An 106-point difference in pool play, won every tournament game by double digits. I think the family's solid. They come in at number 2. Loyal Athletes and Reaper Factory tied for 3rd. But to me, just based on what we saw, 210 Primal is hands down the number 1 team, and we're looking forward to seeing them at the Crown. And hopefully some of these other teams, the family and the Villages, they left me impressed, but they were only in a 3-team 10U division. So kind of hard to tell.
Well, you got to look at Primal coming out of the San Antonio area. That's an area, religiously that produces talent. Mm-hmm. These guys are the future. So when they come to a DR7 tournament, we look at them as the future. They're not yet ready to take the mantle as far as when it comes to high school or the next up, which we consider the middle school ranks. But 210 Primal put it down. They have what it takes to be the top team, and I agree with that.
And you could just tell from the picture, man. Just check the drip out. You know what I'm saying? So I got the pajamas, then got the chain on and everything like that. Like I said, man, they dominated in a very tough bracket in Atlanta. I felt like they had, from top to bottom, Atlanta had talent everywhere. And 210 Primal really definitely stood apart from the rest of the guys.
brought a 14U team and a 15U team to Atlanta as well. Their 14U team, we'll see if they're ranked coming up. They won a championship to start the season as well. But before that, we're going to go now to our 12U rankings. And in the 12U division, little drum roll.
Little drum.
I think we know who it's going to be. It's
No
Orlando
doubt.
No, it's
Elite,
Atlanta Elite.
Yeah,
You know
won
who it
two
is.
championships on the DR7 circuit. They were amazing at the Villages. They went through a ringer in Davenport in our second tournament. Really impressed. Savage Longhorns, though, I think they're going to make some noise. Hopefully we see them at the Crown, too. They were impressive in Atlanta, won some really hard-fought games, close games, came out on top. And in third, we've got TTG, who came away with the championship in New Orleans. So looking at the 12U rankings, we don't have a tie in 12U. It's kind of a consensus with things, but
Right.
Orlando Elite, I think, hands down, especially with those two championships, is the number one team in 12U.
And I feel like that's the one thing where Orlando Elite stands apart in 12U. But I will say in Atlanta, the Savage Longhorns, they did do a number as far as like how they competed in Atlanta. And I know they end up cutting it close against the Doms. But they do have legitimate guys on that roster. And it'll be interesting to see will Orlando Elite stand the test of time of being number one.
Well, you got to give a shout out to Coach Lee. He's been with this program from the get-go. This is one of the DR7 original, what you call standouts as a unit, as an organization. And Coach Lee does a heck of a job in getting these guys ready to go. Hands down, they're the best team in the 12U in the country, and that's why they're ranked number one.
How about Coach Weathers, former New England Patriot? They say that offense is unstoppable there in Orlando. It looked pretty unstoppable.
Absolutely.
In the two tournaments that we've seen them in, made some big defensive plays. They had a great run in Davenport, and I think that's kind of what solidified them. They did get that second championship at the Villages.
Yep.
So I think they're going to be one to watch without a doubt. We're going to have our cameras on them at the Crown for sure. 14U rankings now. In 14U, again, we have another team that's won multiple championships so far this season on the DR7 circuit. So that helped push them to the top in the 14U rankings. And, of course, talking about Bay Area Buckeyes, they were impressive. Coming out on top in the Villages and in Davenport as well. You see Coach Nipsey there. Another team in Atlanta that really left a lasting impression on us, Hustle Inc. Hustle Inc.'s 14U. Then we have True Buzz 14U, who won the championship in New Orleans as well. 14U, that's the one I kind of had a question mark. We kind of teed it up a little bit with 210 Primal. They had an impressive win over DEFCON Miami, who came to our first tournament of the season in Houston. I thought that 14U division was tough. And circling back to Tulsa, you guys mentioned this is a stacked 14U division that we might see, maybe someone replacing a team on that list when it's all said and done this weekend.
Well, I think this is a 2-year run, if you will, with Bay Area Buckeyes. They won the Crown last year, and they're back to defend the Crown. Hustle Inc.'s upstart coming out of the Atlanta area, Georgia. But True Buzz, you got to go back. This is one of the forefathers in the state of Texas as far as organizations goes with 707. And, they always have some of the best players in the state of Texas coming in at third. But, I think they'll have something to say about that as well.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this 14U rank. I know Bay Area Buckeyes, they had, I really like Coach Hustle. Coach Nipsey right there, he's a really great coach. As far as like the Bay Area Buckeyes, they really did dominate the Villages and then previous tournaments before that, Davenport. Hustle Inc., man, as far as like what they did in Atlanta, by far was the best 14U performance I've seen in the tournament, just in my opinion. So I feel like if they were to come to a little bit more tournaments to see if they were, a Crown ready, come, you know what I'm saying, do your thing so we can really get a deep dive on what they actually do. Got a quarterback, Cannon Robinson, that can absolutely sling it, 14U. So I do think that, Hustle Inc., Atlanta, they got something to say.
That leaves us with 15U and 18U still to come. We'll go to 15U next. I think this one might have been the hardest one we were all kind of debating on. And Atlanta's tournament actually gave us some clarity in the fact that our number one team is coming from last week's tournament in the ATL, and that's Grind Factory. They actually won our tournament in Atlanta in the 15U ranks a year ago, took it home this year as well. Apex Elite, again, that Davenport tournament, I think top to bottom probably our most talented tournament. They went through another gauntlet there. They came out on top as our number 2 team in the rankings. Then we've got DEFCON Texas checking in at 15. They were impressive in Dallas. 15U was tough. I'm going to say, guys, where's the money squad? Money squad should be on there somewhere after their impressive performance and their game-winning touchdown in Houston. Houston, another tournament that was stacked. I'm Just saying, guys.
Nah.
Money Squad, they should be in there.
I think they got it right with DEF CON Texas being in the top 3, if not 2. They came to Dallas and they really dominated at all age groups. I think they might have something to say about that. That's a battle-tested team. You might say I'm jaded by Texas, but that's exactly what I look at. What I look at in front of me.
Let you back in Houston with that.
Man, I'm telling you, listen, DEF CON Texas proved it. Grind Factor and Apex, I definitely think have something to say about that. But that's why you come to the Crown. You want to see who's the best of the best. Come get the smoke at the Crown.
I really just want to bring something up. So basically,
That Money Squad should be in there?
I mean, you guys are saying Money Squad should be in there, but how far up should they be over Apex, or should they be over DEF CON, or what are we actually saying here as far as Money Squad?
We're not getting into the specifics. We're just saying that they should be on there somewhere. Put them at the top for 3.
I think he's saying show me the money.
We had tied for 3rd in several other age groups, so I'm just saying maybe they should be on that list too. It looked awful empty and alone to me down there on that list.
That Grind Factory, though,
show me the money.
That's solidified.
Okay. All right, whatever you guys say. I'm just saying, Money Squad.
Look, they beat 251, and then they beat Gulf Coast Athletics. That's 2 legitimate programs in 15U that they balled out against. And like I said, they have legitimate. If Gulf Coast comes to 15U and ball out, I'm pretty sure JaMichael Garrett and the rest of those guys, Christian Seeger, all those guys are going to come and ball at the Crown. So that's just a couple guys on Gulf Coast, and 251 had a slew of guys that made the platform list. So I know for sure that Grind Factory is legitimate one. And then, I mean, we could put Money Squad in there, but at the same time, I'm not disagreeing with you guys on DEF CON and all those guys as well. So, but I do think Grind Factory is solidified as number 1.
Sound like he want to put some money on it.
Coach Josh, if you're watching, I tried to convince him, but I just couldn't do it. I tried for you, man. We'll see you at the Crown, though, hopefully.
No doubt.
I know this is the moment that everyone's waiting on, so let's go ahead and go to our 18U rankings now. And again, this is another one that we went back and forth on. I know we had some conflicting opinions.
I don't think it's really a debate who's that one.
Okay. All right. Well,
We're
let's
see.
Let's see the list. Let's see who we've got then. Let's
Drum
build
roll.
it up just a little bit for the 18U champions.
I think
our
it's pretty
18U
good.
number 1. Who's it gonna be, guys? What do
We
you
gonna
think?
see. I think it's gonna be.
I'll say it's a
Gridiron
little magic behind it.
Yeah.
In the way they dress.
little magic. I like that.
Okay.
I like the jerseys are magic
No
like
doubt.
that too. You know
No
what I'm saying? So
doubt.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good smooth reference. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? Like
Well, in the 18U rankings, there you have it.
that. There you
Gridiron
go. That's my
Elite
guy right there.
Comes
That's
in
my
at
guy.
number 1. 2 championships on the DR7 circuit. They won in the Villages.
They got them Penny
They
Hardaways
won
on.
in Davenport as well. DEF CON Texas comes in at number 2. Now, here's where the controversy, I think, comes in, guys, because Gridiron Elite, of course, has 2 championships. Nobody else does in the 18U rankings. People had True Buzz at number 2, and I can see it, but DEF CON Texas has the head-to-head championship win at our tournament in Dallas.
Right.
So that's why they came in at number 2.
Right.
True Buzz is tied for 3rd with Next Gen Blue, another one of those Atlanta teams who stood out last weekend taking it home.
I think the top 3 says it all. The only reason DEF CON is above True Buzz is the head-to-head competition. I think that Gridiron Elite is above all of them because of the 2 quarterbacks that they got, Noah Grubbs and Grant Connor. I've never seen 2 quarterbacks come in and out and look irreplaceable. Of course,
not missing nothing.
Noah Grubbs is one of the top quarterbacks in class 2026 in the country. I think Grant Connor is solidifying himself as one of the 2025s that people don't know about. I mean, that's why you come to DR Sports. The platform is all
That's
about
a gem.
exposing the unexposed, and we've exposed Grant Connor to everybody in the country. And listen, the invites are going out. If you're paying attention, the invites are going out to camps, and Grant Connor's one of those guys that was flying under the radar, but we exposed him at DR7.
Yeah, no, that's definitely if you want like a perfect example of what the platform does and what DR Sports is about, Grant Connor and the Gridiron Elite giving those guys the proper exposure that they need, even in the Villages when they beat Team Tampa, a star-studded program, and to get their 2nd championship. That's what this is about. That's what Gridiron Elite represents for DR7.
And I believe, if I'm not wrong, I think Coach Michael's bringing the Gridiron Elite boys to the Crown. So, again, if you've got an issue with the list, meet us in Dallas April 13th and 14th for the Crown National Championship. You can register online, DR Sports. Again, we only ranked our top 3 for now. We've had 8 tournaments so far, so this was tough. But looking back, you see on the screen there, just looking through 8U all the way up to 18U. We just wanted to put it on the screen there so you had some insight and you can make a more educated complaint at us now that you can see everyone and how they all stack up.
What's you guys' favorite pick from the list? Like, what do you guys agree with the most?
I like DEFCON at number 2. I think Chad Warner solidified himself as in the country as one of the top 2025 quarterbacks. Of course, we knew about him in Texas, but seeing him play, Jalen Cooper on that team as well, Royal Capel and those guys, DEFCON is one of the top programs in the state of Texas, but also in the country. But really head and shoulders, there's no arguing with Gridiron Elite, in my opinion. And I think that they proved that they are the creme de la creme when it comes to 18U in the country. And then Orlando Elite as a program, you can see they're in more than one division. I think that says more about the program as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you right there. Gridiron Elite, I feel like that's a stamp, that's a staple. My favorite one, I'll just kind of piggyback off of what I said in the 15U ranks. Grind Factory. I know that they only competed in one tournament, in the Atlanta tournament, but that tournament was so thick as far as like 15U. That I feel like it weighs so heavy on what they actually were able to accomplish. So I really want to try to see what they actually do when they do come to the Crown and compete against, maybe Texas, Florida teams and things, and maybe even some of these Tulsa teams that are out here in 15U, because we do have some teams in 15U that I feel like can compete as well with these three teams right here. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like I will go to bat for Grind Factory in 15U.
I would say my no doubter is Orlando Elite 12U. I came out with the reel with the interview after the championship in the Villages. I left a question mark on there. I said the best 12U team in the country. I should have took it off. They are the best 12U team in the country, as reflected in our rankings. But I think they're going to come to the Crown and prove that. If I had to wager on it, which at this point, if I was betting on 7-on-7, I would need help. But I would put money on Orlando Elite. I think
really go ahead.
I think that you left Bullet out, in 12U. I think in Melissa, in Dallas, that was a team that could be reckoned with. And True Buzz is 12U and 10U as well. I shot my shot in these rankings. If you see some of these text groups, what I'm saying, it was back and forth. It was like tug of war. But, I think Bullet has some really, really good young talent. Coming out of the North Texas area that people didn't get a chance to see. Of course, that was the only, helping that we got of them in that one particular tournament. But they got my vote as to be in the top 3.
So there's a recap. There's a look at all of our rankings. And again, if you don't like it, come line it up at the Crown, Dallas, Texas, April 13th and 14th. There's a look at the venue, ages 8U all the way up to 18U. It's the 3rd year of the Crown. We're expecting it to be our biggest one so far by far. So make sure you get signed up and come out. What are you all most looking forward to? Is there maybe an age group that you're most excited about with the Crown, or what are you most looking forward to with that championship?
I think, right now we're putting on some of the best talent-wise as we go city to city. I think that, when you come for the Crown, this is what you want. It's the best of the best, the creme de la creme, as they say. If you want the smoke, come get the smoke. A lot of teams that have been around in our circuit have seen some of the best talent in the country. And I believe that we run some of the best, fields, from the field managers to the refs. You know what I'm saying? I want to shout out to my team, Patrick Barrier, Drew Johnson, and Nick Stats Gradney. You know what I mean? If you ball, you're going to get the call, from the platform, from the top media team in the country. This is what you come to a DR7 event for.
Yeah, I've been really thoroughly impressed with our 14 and 15U here lately, as far as all the way back from the Houston the second Houston tournament all the way to here recently. I think our 14 and 15U, of course, the rest of 8 and 10 and 12, but 14 and 15 is just a pivotal age in general. I feel like we get a lot of growth in those years and things like that. We've all been in our 14 and 15 to 16-year-old, and I just feel like in that age range, you always get guys that are kind of coming into their own as they get into high school and things like that.
Well, if you happen to stumble upon this video, make sure you follow us on social media, DR Sports. You look at all the social handles from Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube as well. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Select game highlights, content from all of our tournaments, but follow us on social media. The platform as well. Make sure you follow the platform DR on Instagram and X. Marc Henry, you're the man when it comes to the platform. Break it down for us a little bit. Tell us, for people who might not be familiar, just tell us a little bit about what the platform is.
Well, the mission and goal of the platform is to expose the unexposed. And when we say expose the unexposed, we want to give you exposure around the country as we travel to each tournament. And what that means is if you ball, you get the call. You'll be stopped. You'll be photographed. There'll be tweets about you, there'll be recognition about you, and then it goes all on the platform, on the website at the platform.drsportswithaz.com. People are noticing. We get people coming up to us all the time. It's reflected on the buzz that we're getting on the Twitter and the page as well. It's usually 4 or 5 scouts every weekend on the field with you. So, if you ball, you get the call. If you get that tap on the shoulder, that means you did something. So we want to give you the correct exposure the right way. We're also working on some things where, we're going to help you set your Twitter up the right way. As you know, recruiting when it comes to the collegiate level happens on Twitter, not so much on Instagram. Instagram is more about, taking pictures and things like that. But, post-COVID, after 2020, college recruiting has really stepped up on Twitter, and that's the thing that we try to promote. It's one of my big pet peeves is to try to help you get that exposure the right way, and we want to get that and deliver that every time you step on a DR Sports or a DR7 tournament. The platform is there, and that's what we use it for, is to give you that exposure the right way, and we want to help you grow yourself as a social media, when it comes to recruiting and things like that. That's what the platform's all about. We got the best team in the game when it comes to that.
We've got the best CEO, owner, and founder in the game as well, Jonathan Mumphrey, joining us now. Mum, we kind of broke down where we are so far, and we've got 3 tournaments left to come. Louisville coming up next week, then at Tampa before we hit the Crown, but a lot of excitement coming around the Crown. I know you're excited as well. I said it's going to be our biggest and best one yet. Can you kind of back me up on that? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. First of all, y'all got me so fired up about these rankings. I'm not agreeing with some of y'all rankings, so I'm just going to go on and tell you. I wasn't in those text threads because I probably would have, had some very different opinions. But, the great thing about it is, we're all about the kids, all about the athletes. Our mission is to bring exposure, build a professional environment, make sure everybody is safe in that environment, and keep the integrity of what 7-on-7 is all about. And that's what DR7 is its goal is, number one. And the great thing about it is, as Marc said, we got the best media team in the game. You guys do an amazing job, CJ, Ben, and the rest of the guys is behind the scene. So we always got cameras, so we're always flashing. But then, we talk about the platform. As Marc and his team has really grown, the whole vision behind the platform is we want to control everything in-house, and we want to do it with integrity. We're just not out here with people saying, hey, this kid should be this and this kid should be that. We want to lay our eyes on it. So, guys, if you're not getting written about, show up at the tournament. We can't talk about you or write about you or film you if you don't show up. So that's the thing. So I think, going into our 3rd year, this is pretty exciting. We had 180 teams. Let's just kind of walk through where we've been on this journey. In the first year we kicked off in Florida, it was 122 teams. 122 teams. And then we came back in Texas. We brought the Crown to Texas, back to Texas. We had 180 teams. And that was battling a lot of hurdles. And I agree with you, Ben. I think we're gonna kick that number and step on that number. So in Fort Worth, and we're going to have an exciting time doing it. But this is what's going to make it different at the Crown. All these teams, everybody that's on Twitter all season, we're winding down. You got a couple opportunities to get your paid bid in Louisville. You still have time to get your plane ticket to Texas. In Florida, you still have time to get your plane ticket or your bus ride. I drive it 15 hours with a trailer. You can drive it, coaches, and come to the Crown. Because if you want your athletes to compete at a very high level, at a non-biased level, I think that is key for everybody. We have no dog in this fight. We love the kids. It's about the kids. It's not about the logo on their chest. And so that's what the Crown is about. So I say you show up at the Crown April 13, 14, and let's sell it on the turf. We got a big, heavy trophy for you, and we're going to put your names in light. So if you are the best team in the country, as I've said this since we started this, stop running. Show up at the Crown. That's why we built it. We want a crowd. Kings are crowned. At the bottom line, if you understand what a king is about, that he wears the crown. And then you have the crown for the entire season. You got a paid bid. And you can come to any tournament for free. We want to see who the best in the country. And the athletes, this is what this does for you. I'm telling you, I'm talking to all the other platforms. They are already lining up to come. And I don't like naming names, but you know who your scouting platforms out there. I was just with them with a lot of these guys this weekend. They're noticing what we're doing. Remember, we're the most professional circuit in the country, in the nation right now. We're going to be about the kids. We're going to be on time. We're going to be organized. And we're going to focus on the athletes that's on the field that really want the ball, Mark. That's what it's all about. And we're looking for the best. And if you're the best and you think you're the best and you want to be ranked number one, come prove it. Sell it on the turf. It's my motto. Sell it on the turf.
All right, Coach.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't have anything to add. I don't know about you guys. I'm ready to line it up right now. We can start the crown tonight for all I care.
Absolutely. I think, paid bid, why wouldn't you want that? And that's a paid bid to run the circuit the entire season. And we've seen that happen the last couple of years. And, what we want to do is bring that light to you. You want to expose the unexposed. So if you want to get exposed, come out to a DR Sports event, and we'll take care of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's it. We covered all bases as far as I think the teams that from top to bottom. Of course, we can go on days and days and weeks and
Absolutely.
weeks from teams perspective. But I think what we have here as far as Tulsa, I think some of those teams can replace or even compete with some of those teams. We'll see 18U. I think Iowa Flex is a couple teams out there. Sooner 7 as well. That
Arkansas Elite got a bunch of dudes on that team too. So.
Right, so
Absolutely.
it's a lot of guys out here in Tulsa that I feel like can compete, and I know they get a rap of as far as might not be as qualified as Texas or Florida, but like I said, that's why we settled out here on the hashes.
Yeah, looking forward to Crown Sunday tomorrow here in Tulsa. We were going to make our picks, but I didn't want these guys to publicly go 0-5. So we're going to save that for our group conversation. We appreciate everyone who joined in and joined us for the discussion here on the Midseason Recap Show and the Rankings Reveal Show. Again, if you disagree with where your program was ranked, come lining up at the Crown April 13th and 14th in Dallas, Texas. For Marc Henry, CJ Gilbert, Jonathan Mumphrey, I'm Ben Spicer. Thanks for tuning in here on the DR Sports page.